Hello, and welcome to a special review of War of the Planet of the Apes. It's special because in order to fully critique this film, I'm going to look back at the other two to have a full, better picture, with minimal spoilers. It's also special because throughout this review, I'm going to be making banana smoothies. Yes, I am that extra. Now I want to do something a little weird. I want to give my rating at the beginning of the review. I give War of the Planet of the Apes 3.8 out of 5 stars. Now let's get into why I gave it that score. Now before I get into this, I just want to say that I myself am a fledgling writer, which means I suck. So take everything I say with a grain of salt. Personally, I like the first one the best, but here's why I think it's the best. Character arc. Caesar's the main focus of these films. He's what makes us want to watch them. He's really interesting. But he's much more interesting in Rise because his character arc is so dynamic, but then he sort of plateaus once he gets to the next two films. Throughout this whole series, Caesar is really meant to be the underdog. This is amazing. It started off as just a gimmick, but I'm really glad I did it. In Rise, Caesar goes from just being an animal to a higher thinking creature that can speak. He effectively creates an entire new species that can challenge the intelligence and the might of humans. And when he overcomes these obstacles, pow, wham! Chills. In Dawn, Caesar's angry at Kobo. In War, Caesar's angry at Woody Harrelson.
So emotional!
Think about it. In these two films, Caesar doesn't really change all that much, especially compared to the first. In Dawn and War, he doesn't have a moment like this.
Take your stinking paw off me, you damn 38!
No!
If you want your movie to not be boring, you have to make your main character go through massive change. Caesar went from here to here. Walter White went from here to here. Batman went from here to here.
Fuck. Batman, what are you doing here?
If your character arc is not dynamic, then boring.
Our story is the story of two guys who start at the bottom and with a lot of hard work continue along the bottom and finally end up at the bottom.
Let me be clear though, I don't hate War of the Planet of the Apes. I like it. My issues with it are not massive, gigantic, bombastic.
They're tiny and microscopic. Hey, how's it going? What are you doing? No, stop!
Tailoring. Much of the movie is not tailored around the fact that Caesar is an ape. Him being an ape had zero effect on the story as a whole. Here's an exercise. You can actually superimpose a random stock footage actor over Caesar, and it'd be the exact same story. I mean, it's just a revenge story. And you could do the exact same thing in Dawn, too. It's just people shooting guns. But you couldn't do that in Rise. Look how the apes won in the climax. They were climbing up and over the bridge. That's how they overcame the enemy. Ha! Did that look good? Consider a movie like Ratatouille. The whole story was crafted around the fact that he was a rat. He had rat problems, rat moments, and he succeeded only because he was a rat. And this isn't exclusive to movies with animals as the main characters. It's just that since Caesar's an ape, then his problems, obstacles, and triumphs should be tailored around the fact that he is an ape. Humans couldn't have done that shit. Only Maurice could have done that shit. Because Maurice is awesome. I'm serious, he's like my favorite thing about that whole movie. It's kind of sad though because he doesn't do much in War. Which brings me to my last point. Causality. See, when a big event occurs in your movie, you expect a large reaction that's equal. Newton's third law. Cause and effect. See, the most basic version of this is you eat bad sushi, you get diarrhea, you can't f*** Jennifer because bad diarrhea is not a turn on. In War, a lot of things happen that have zero effect on the plot as a whole. For instance, early in the movie, Caesar adopts a little orphan girl. This little girl should have had a massive impact on the story. Like, the apes now have a human girl in their party. How does this change things? It should have, right? No. Her presence meant nothing. I mean, she gave food and water to Caesar one time, but that's it. Was she there to remind Caesar of human kindness? Because He already learned that in the first film from James Franco, aka Dreamy Eyes, aka Loves Pie.
How's the pie?
So good.
She should have affected the story more. For Christ's sake, she was in all the promotion! The soldier guy. In the beginning of war, this guy is a survivor of a long and bloody battle between the apes and the humans. And Caesar lets him go to showcase his mercy and intelligence. Ergo, this guy becomes a mainstay of the movie. He pops up in a lot of scenes, and you think that because of Caesar's before mercy, that you expect some kind of reversal from this guy. Like maybe the soldier would come in clutch at the last moment and show Caesar the same kind of mercy. Nope, the soldier is still an enemy at the end. No effect. Oops. The talking ape. He should have had more of an effect on this. I'm out of bananas. So Caesar meets this new ape who speaks really well, but doesn't know sign language, which is a little odd. Because all the apes know how to sign. So what does this mean? Will this newcomer have to change the way all the apes communicate? Well... Nope. He was just used for comic relief.
I'm okay.
So up until this point, I've just been complaining. But now, it's time to be productive. Because my mama raised me to never complain unless I also have a solution. She also said to never trust the blacks. I pick and choose what to listen to. So here we go. Here are some alternative stories that they could have done instead of just a revenge story. Civil War. They kind of did this in Dawn of the Planet of the Apes when Koba led the attack and split the apes in half, but they didn't expand on it. Sure, we see a couple of apes not loyal to Caesar, but where's the serious Game of Thronesy political scenario where we see the ape population torn asunder? Number two, an ape virus. Humans were attacked by a virus and nearly wiped them out. But what about a new mutated virus that kills apes? How will they handle it? And if they're that much smarter, how will they find a cure when the humans did not? Yeah, that could totally work. Number 3, female Tarzan. Look, now this might sound a little cartoonish, but think about it. This little girl was adopted by the apes. Maybe she could have become some sort of liaison between the apes and the humans. Female Tarzan. Or fuck it, just Tarzan. It's 2017, people. It's not female Thor, it's Thor. Number 4. The apes are reverting back to their lower intelligences. Maybe the drug that gave it to them was just temporary? Number 5. The apes need humans. In Dawn, we see the humans need something from Caesar. Access to the dam. But what if, in this one, we see that the apes need something from the humans? Maybe it could be connected to the new mutated virus that's killing the apes. Maybe the key ingredient to the cure is held by the humans. That could work, right? Yeah, that could totally work. Number 6. Moses Caesar. Now you might be thinking, Ben, Caesar delivered his people to the newfound land. He is Moses. That's true, he did. But this film wanted so badly for him to be some sort of savior to the apes. Every critic and filmmaker on the internet says this. But if your character paradigm shows up at the very end of your movie, it's half-baked. So that's it for story suggestions. But that brings me to my last point. Half-baked elements. This movie is full of half-baked elements. Caesar, Moses, when Caesar and gang get imprisoned and it gets a little Schindler's Listy, but then it brings back my points of not tailoring. However, I must note, mini spoilers by the way, when the apes are imprisoned, they escape in a really cool way. Since they all know sign language, they're able to communicate out in the open in front of the guards, and they climb up and over barricades and stuff. Another half-baked element is the Caesar-Koba storyline. Caesar worries he's becoming more like Koba the more he pursues his vengeance. But all we get is Caesar talking about becoming like Koba.
Maurice was right. I am like Koba. He could not escape his hate, and I still cannot escape mine.
Like, what if we actually saw him change Like, what if we get a more hateful, malevolent leader because of Koba? All this time, Caesar's been a good leader to his people, but what if we see him become more hateful, malevolent because of Koba? And then that could incite a civil war! You know, to be really savage, I could say the drama was half-baked. There's a lot of staring in this movie. Just because your character is staring dramatically doesn't make it dramatic. Next time you watch this movie, notice how many times the characters just stare for dramatic effect. So, I know it sounds like I'm being harsh on this film, but in all reality, I love it. I wouldn't be making this review if I didn't. Apes are like my thing. Monkeys, gorillas, orangutans, anything seminal. I'm serious. My YouTube banner has a chimp. You don't believe me. You think I'm joking. You think I'm f***ing with you. I am not f***ing with you. So that's it. That's the end. Go ahead. Bad banana. Bad banana. Oh, it's a plantain.